If you are a fighting fan, there's a 100% chance you have heard about this guy before.
The reigning, defending, 155-pound champion of the UFC, the notorious Conor McGregor!
Is he fucking awesome?
Okay. Charisma, drama, personality, and some mystique.
The key to living the law of attraction.
All the features of a rising star in any field, but Conor McGregor had something else going for him. In a pistol duel, he showed up with a shotgun. Talking about Conor McGregor means talking about his biggest asset, and I'm not talking about his Proper 12 company.
Proper 12!
I'm talking about his left hand.
That left hand is a missile.
The Conor McGregor run in the featherweight division between 2013 to 2016 had never been seen before in the history of the UFC, and was one of the main reasons why the company reached the proportions it did.
Is this the happiest birthday yet after making $4 billion?
It doesn't suck.
And after a long research coupled with a bit of observation, I think I got a plausible idea of why Conor McGregor is one of the best punchers in the history of the UFC.
He's one of the most spectacular punchers in the history of the sport.
I call it the touch of death. You know, he's got that left hand. It's the touch of death.
What do you think that is?
To the Yanomamo Indians, the largest Stone Age tribe left in the world.
First of all,
Punches are born, not made.
you can train, you can work, you can improve, but that touch, it comes from within, and the main reason is a deterministic one. When you look at top fighters in the UFC history, such as Vitor Belfort, Jon Jones, Thiago Santos, and of course Conor McGregor, they all have one thing in common. All of them are left-handed. In a world where 9 out of 10 people are right-handers, to be the different one can put you under uncomfortable circumstances. Chairs, notebooks, mouses, and tools are all made to fit right-handers. Even if you want a job as Thing in Wednesday, you need to be right-handed. For that matter, since the Industrial Revolution, left-handers have had more trouble to handle tools, which corroborated to more incidents and a shorter life expectancy. And this prejudice against people who have the preference for their left hand comes from since the Middle Age, when lefty-handers were literally associated with the evil, as you can see in this representation. And being lefty is not even the weirdest thing in this picture. But if something is negative, and natural selection takes care of it, why do left-handers still exist? Well, this is because they have been doing something right throughout history, and that is fighting. The favoritism of right-handed people counts against in a fight, and also in hunting, as it gives the southpaw a different angle to hit the target. Stairs in the Middle Age were designed to be spirals that went up in a clockwise direction. The reason is because it would favor the defender to use the sword correctly against another right-handed attacker, unless, of course, you were left-handed. That was the main point of a hypothesis found by a group of researchers in 1996, and their article emphasized that a small portion of left-handers survived the natural selection because they had an advantage in fights. When they studied tribes, they found out that Pacific tribes, just like the Julas in Burkina Faso, had only 1 murder per 100,000 inhabitants, and only 3.4% of the population were left-handed. But when they studied the Yanomami in Venezuela, they had 500 murders per 100,000 inhabitants. They had 22.6% of the population composed by left-handers. This is because being left-handed counts in their favor in fighting and hunting, as it gives the southpaw a different angle to hit the target. The logic is simple. If 90% of the population are composed by right-handers, in a fight, lefty-handers are already used to fight the right-handers, but not the right-handers against the southpaws. And that's an absolute truth, right? Yeah, kind of. Another study done with the UFC showed that among the UFC fighters, 20.4% of them were left-handed, way more than the average 10%, but the result of their fights against right-handed were exactly 50-50. So maybe because the strategic advantage was there before, and now people have developed techniques to neutralize their game. But that doesn't explain exactly why Conor McGregor and other southpaws so commonly have that touch of death. And here's where I make my humble empirical contribution. If you've sparred before in your life, you know that KO and power are correlated to the core. The stronger dude punches harder. But power is not only physical body mass, but a genetic factor. Two guys who have the same size can have different capacity to generate power. And this is where, if you really pay attention, left-handers excel. In soccer, strong kickers such as Hulk and Roberto Carlos were left-handed. In MMA, dominant skillful fighters such as Kamaru Usman and George St. Pierre only had trouble in their careers when they faced the power of left-handed fighters. In the sport of strongman, arguably the strongest man to ever walk on the planet, Hafthor Bjornsson, is, guess what? A left-hander. Very commonly, left-handers occupy the top of activities that require physical strength, although they represent only 10% of the population. And in my life, that proved to be a real thing as well. 3 years ago, when I was still in high school, my best friend was a left-hander and was by miles the strongest guy in the class. Nobody could win an army wrestling match against him using our stronger hand, the right hand, even though he was a left-hander. And in the physical education classes, nobody wanted to be the goalkeeper when he was on the other team. Because, you know. There is a reason why Rocky defeated Apollo with left hooks instead of right hooks in Rocky 2. So, if you are a left-hander, be grateful to your ancestors. You are only here today because there were some tough cooking in the past. But luckily for me, using the mouse to edit this video wasn't a big problem because, well, not all fights are won by the lefties, huh? But just in honor, I will finish this video with one last final click using my left hand. Thank you very much for your time and see you soon.